Hello, welcome back to a vlog. You've definitely seen this vlog style around. It's gonna be a video where the video ends when I read a 5-star. However, I'm only reading fantasy romance within this vlog, so it has to be a romancy 5-star, which if you didn't know, I'm really incredibly picky about. So this could be a really bad idea and this could last I don't know how long, but here we are, we're gonna do it anyways. We're gonna choose chaos and I hope you enjoy the video. Also, the first time I saw this was Made with Books and then Riley Marie. I did not come up with this concept, but I wanted to do it, so enjoy. I have started Daughter of No Worlds as my first fantasy romance for this vlog. I am liking it. I don't think it feels like Serpent, which means I don't think it's going to be a 5-star. The problem with doing a vlog like this is I feel like I know my star rating quite early on. I can pretty much predict if something will be a 5-star for me like really early on. Sometimes not. Sometimes it does get there, but this feels like a 3, maybe a 4, not a 4, maybe a 5. So I do think it'll be a 3-star. We haven't gotten very far into this. In this story, we're following our main character, Tasana, who's sold into slavery at a very young age. She ends up escaping slavery and going to be an apprentice in the order because she is fractured, which means she is like half magic, half human, I think. We see her join the order because they're the only people powerful enough to protect her from like the slavery that she belongs in, quotation marks. We, at the point that I'm at, are just about to meet the love interest, so we haven't seen a lot happen yet. We have had some interesting discussions on like abuse and Stockholm syndrome and abusive relationships and why people stay in abusive relationships because they see the good and not the bad, and how an abusive partner, although they do these bad things, they're also the people that like are there to help you, and that's like what makes it so hard to leave an abusive relationship. And I thought that was a very interesting discussion and conversation on it because it feels very real to have someone who's escaping an abusive relationship and just like still feels for that person because like you remember the good and not the bad, but think the Lord you're getting out of it because like you don't deserve the bad, and the good does not make up for the bad. And I think that that was just like a really beautiful discussion. I love Carissa for that. I think that like she does that so well, and I'm just excited to keep reading, even though I don't think it's gonna be a 5-star, but you'll still get my thoughts throughout the vlog and it'll be a fun vlog to do. So let's keep on reading. Update for Daughter of No Worlds. I'm not loving this. I did switch to the audiobook as I was struggling to get through this a little bit. I find our characters really like plain. I don't really vibe with them. I'm not really picking up on their love or attraction, but I'm also not picking up on their individual personalities that much. They kind of feel like they have one idea that is them, like not necessarily one-dimensional, but that they're solely driven by like one thing. Like our main character, the female, is driven by her need for justice and to free the slaves, and that kind of like consumes her, and that makes her training just completely consume her. And then he is consumed by like this mystery. It's not really a mystery, well, it's kind of a mystery, but like we have the prologue of like why he doesn't want to work for the order and all of that, and it just feels like we focused too much on those singular items that the rest of their personalities aren't well developed. He instantly starts to help her, and it feels very like instant to me that his friendship becomes so big and so encompassing that he kind of gives up some of his own beliefs to help her. It feels like a Carissa book. Like it does have the potential to get to where the other ones do. Like this feels like the groundwork to what becomes the Crowns of Nyaxia series for me. Like I see the little bits and pieces, but it's just not completely there yet for me. I do like the magic system in this. I do love with like a training setting how magic system is told, so I do like that we get bits and pieces as she's training. However, the training is a little monotonous. We're doing the same thing over and over again. It's really not that interesting. So yeah, that's kind of why I'm struggling, but I'm hoping that it will really expand at some point. Good morning. It's Monday morning. I was gonna lie to you all and try to film in ways that you couldn't see my haircut, because obviously I cut my hair. It's a lot shorter. You'll see me with long hair for a little bit after this because I just started this video reading this book. So I started it and I was like, hey, I'm gonna start with Daughter of No Worlds. I'll finish this really quickly. It's been like 3 weeks. I've read other books in between this and I still haven't finished this. But since I started this vlog with it, I'm still putting it in like the first book spot. And I know this won't be a 5-star. I can tell you right now it won't be a 5-star. If it was a 5-star, I would have read it in a day versus the 30 weeks it's taken me. I've been putting this down so often. I'm not wanting to pick it back up. I just kind of find it a little bit boring, I'm not gonna lie. We just hit interesting parts, and so I think it's gonna pick back up for me, but it's like it's not enough to make it a 5-star, so I'm not worried about that. So I decided not to lie to you and just let you know that time is a concept that means nothing. Update on this, I'm 60% through right now. This is lying to you. I'm on like page 260 or something, so like I'm pretty far in. And I'm just like not loving it. I don't believe in our characters. But I've said this before, I'll say it again. This book is not what I'm expecting to be 5 stars. I've never thought that this was going to be a new favorite for me, but I think the series overall is going to be a favorite for me. I've heard really good things about book 2 specifically. I'm excited for that, and maybe I will get to book 2 at some point during this vlog if it goes on forever, because I do have to read book 2 in July for FanRo Bookclub. But yeah, so far this one's not going so well. I'm not really a big fan of Chisana or Max. I kind of find them boring and frustrating. Like, they're awkward and they can't communicate, which could be endearing to some people, but for me it's just frustrating as someone who is a lot more vocal, I think, about these things. I'm like, why can't you just tell her this? Like, it's just like a miscommunication. It's not even miscommunication, because they're not miscommunicating things, they're just not telling each other their feelings ever, and I'm just like annoyed, and I'm like, just get to the point a little bit faster here. That's a little frustrating, but we just got to like a really interesting part of the plot with the thing that we see the first chapter, and I'm really excited to get into that. I think that's going to be a really fun addition to the story. I'm hoping that this will still pull a 3 or a 4 star from me, because for the last couple days I've been feeling like it might be a 2, which really sucks, but if the ending hypes it up, I think it could definitely reach a higher 3, maybe a low 4 from me. Yeah, that's my update. I'll keep you updated again in a bit. And cheers, it's Monday and I really needed this coffee. I'm almost done this, so I have 100 pages left. I'm excited to tell you that it did make it to a 3 star at this point in time. I'm really enjoying elements of this, of like where it's going. I really liked the magic system in this. I love how much I think it's going to expand in the second book. Like, I'm really excited for the second book. I think it's gonna go whew and expand in world and magic and things we know and things we don't know. I'm really liking that. I just struggle with the romance itself. I just don't understand their connection. I feel like I never really got to see it develop well enough. I was just told it happened, and so like I'm struggling with that. And as a romance book, that kind of sucks, but like I'm liking the fantasy part, if that makes sense, but I'm struggling with the romance part, which is okay, because I think I'm a primarily fantasy reader and I just want romance in it, so it's fine. It's still working for me, but it's definitely not The Serpent and the Wings of Night for me. Like, I don't love it that way, but I'm hoping book 2 will, because of what we're setting up right now. I think makes me think that this entire series is going to be really good. I'll update you in a bit. I finished Daughter of No Worlds. I'm giving it 3 stars. Everything I said before is just kind of why it got 3 stars. I did like it. I loved the end. The end amped up for me, and I really liked the like very first 50 pages. But the middle part just dragged on for me. That's all I really need to say. There is a book club live show for this. I don't know when this video is going up due to the premise of it. If that live show has happened, I will link it down below. I think it will have happened. And if not, I'll link it down below too so that you can go there. So yeah, on to the next book. I decided to pick up An Heir Comes to Rise by Chloe C. Penaranda for this vlog. I was really hopeful going into this that, you know, this would be the 5-star read for us. I'm really picky with fantasy romance though, so I feel like this vlog could take a while. However, this is a story that follows our main character, Faith, who lives in a world where the humans are put into like the outskirts of town and live in like brutal conditions. If a human has a special ability or like is a special type of worker, they can go into the city and work for the Fae, but the Fae treat them like crap, is what we're told. Like, the Fae are mean and brutal, and like working inside the city, although you make more money, you get treated really poorly, so it's not worth it. We follow Faith, who lives on the outskirts, and she's good with her sword, and she dreams of sword play. When Faith accidentally stumbles into the dreams of Nick, who is a Fae, humans aren't supposed to have magical abilities like this. So, dun-dun-dun-dun, our story begins. I am struggling with this one. I'm listening to the audiobook because it is available on Scribd for me. I find that it's a very tell-not show. I'm being told a lot of things, such as, okay, we're told the Fae are brutal, and my first 4 interactions with a Fae weren't brutal, but I've been told that they're brutal, so I'm supposed to believe that they're brutal. But we meet Nick, and Nick is pretty much a cinnamon roll, not gonna lie. And then there's another scene where a Fae sticks up for her at some point to another fae, and this fae is supposed to be like even more brutal, but like this fae just takes this fae on their word and like lets her go, and it just like, where is the brutality? And just because you told me that these fae are mean doesn't mean anything to me. I need you to like show me that they're mean. I need you to show me the brutality of this world. A character, she's not starving really, like she's doing okay for herself. Like I wanted to see a more brutal world because that's what I've been told we're in, if that makes sense. Other than that, I think that the tell not show just carries on to many other issues. We have a relationship between our main character and the fae that she talks to. It's Nick. I don't think that's a spoiler. Like, it's a romance, you know, pretty early on that it's a romance between these two. And it's very much just like, oh, they have feelings for each other. Like, I was never shown how their relationship builds, and I really wanted to be shown these things. So like overall, I just think the writing style is just a lot of tell not show, which is a problem, but like not enough to deter me from like completely reading the story. I also think that it's just kind of surface level. In the first chapter, you pretty much find out that she's special, and then in the next chapter, Nick is helping her, and you're never really told why he's helping her. I just like wanted a little bit more like build up to these moments, build up to these things. Like, yes, going into this, it's a fae romance. I pretty much predict that our human MC is more than just human at this moment in time. Like, whenever I go into a fae romance, like, I'm never surprised anymore. It's like a trope that has been done time and time and time again. However, I still want you to build up to that moment where we learn that they're more than just human. And this one just like tells you right off the bat, and I'm just like, okay, well, that wasn't interesting. And then Nick's helping her, and I'm like, why are you helping her? Like, why? Why are you, this person who's supposed to be this brutal, mean fae, just helping her? Like, I needed more definition to so much of the story, but however I see the groundwork, I really, really, really do see a groundwork for what could be a really incredible story here. And it is 5 books long, so like, I'm willing to stick it out. I am finishing this one. I'm hoping that I enjoy the ending of this book enough, and I will continue, because I do see bits and pieces of a really cool world, a really cool magic system. The night walking and being able to see into people's dreams, I think is really cool. I just need a little bit more definition, but maybe our author does that throughout the series, and that's what I'm hopeful for. I finished Ne'er Comes to Rise, and I didn't love this one. I ended up giving it only 2 stars. I feel like that feels really harsh because I do have plans to continue this. I actually really want to continue this. I do see the groundwork for a great story, but my individual ratings in my rating system all feel true to me. I pretty much gave 5s and 6s across the board. I just think that every part of this story was mediocre but not great, and them all being mediocre led it to a 2-star. Like, I just kept wanting more from every section. The characters wanted more definition. The plot wanted to be less predictable. The setting, I wanted more world building and more brutality. Like, they set up this cool world, but I didn't get anything of it. The writing just kind of felt very like mediocre to me. Like, I wanted more from the writing in general. But I think that this first book reads really YA, and I've heard a lot of people say the first book reads YA, but that the series overall gets deeper and more nuanced and grows out of YA, and I'm excited to see that, so I will be continuing, especially with all the audiobooks on Scribd, although I do think the narrator changes between book 1 and book 2, who knows why. The epilogue left me intrigued, but I just felt like this was a very predictable story. Like, if you've read any fae romance, any YA romance, you've probably read this story, and I think it will diverge from that in later books, which is why I'm still really excited to continue reading. But like, for me, this was just too predictable and didn't have anything quite unique enough to get me there. On to the next one. We're doing something new today. We're getting Tim Hortons. New for you than the video, not new for me.
So, hi, can I get a medium ice cap and a cheese bagel toasted with cream cheese?
I decided to pick up, this needs to be a little bit brighter, Between Wrath and Mercy, which was recommended to me by a Patreon and I'm sadly really not loving it.
Thank you.
Thank you, have a good day. God, I feel bad for other places that don't have ice caps. When I'm in the like full craving for just like something sweet and delicious, an ice cap. Also, Tim Horton bagels are literally crap. Like, they're so greasy and they're crap, but like for some reason I crave them. I love them. I don't know why. Tim Hortons is like my guilty pleasure food. It's so not good, but incredible. Anyways, I need to drive to my sister's house, so just like I feel like every other vlog clip these days, I will update you when I'm there. I need to talk to the vlog. Okay, can you chill? Can you chill, bro? Can you chill? Oh, good chilled. Okay, only chill if I pet him. Okay, so I started Between Wrath and Mercy, which there's nothing inherently wrong with this, but it's really not working for me. In this, we're following our main character who grew up best friends with the prince because her sister was the chosen one. Something happens, her sister ends up dead, and the main character blames herself and the prince, and so she leaves and gets married and has a kid, and it turns out her kid is the new chosen one. Coincidence? Maybe. I think not. And then something happens, there's a lot of somethings happening that we don't really know, where her daughter gets kidnapped. And so then our main character goes to the prince and says, help, we need to find my daughter. He has no idea the daughter even exists because she's been hiding her daughter for years because she doesn't want her to be like needed to do the chosen one powers and the abilities and what is called for of a chosen one. And they go on a journey to find her daughter. This is friends to enemies to lovers, kind of more like friends probably to like rivals to lovers situation. Like they dislike each other because of past things, but they don't actually like hate each other. I have a problem with friends to lovers, as I think that oftentimes it relies on things that you happened in the past and you don't get to see the moments where their connections were actually made. And that's something I like about enemies to lovers, or even like a first time meeting to lovers, is just I want to see their relationship grow and flourish. And in friends to lovers, I find a lot of that happened in the past when they were becoming friends. So this trope doesn't often work for me. It worked for me in Fireborn because we had a past timeline seeing those moments. But I really struggle with friends to lovers because of that. And I think that's happening here for me. There is no characterization in this. I know literally nothing about our prince besides that he's hot, that they had past history, and that he's willing to help her out. I know nothing about him. I'm 100 pages in and I know nothing about him. Even her, I don't really know that much other than that she's a mother and that she loves her daughter and loved her sister. Like, there's no like real character moments, character development that has really happened in this for me. And we have a lot of talking about how hot people are, which is just something that doesn't work for me. Specifically when our main character is like, how she's so hot. I'm gonna look at him and see like, is he thinking that she's hot? And it's just like really insecure about it. And that just like really irks me in my books. And so yeah, this isn't really working for me. I do appreciate that like we are setting up a story and not just jumping into like the smut and the romance. However, I can't connect. I'm not liking it because of that. I need character development. I need character moments. I want to know the ins and outs of my characters. Yeah. So far it's just like, let's find the daughter. We're gonna go here. Wow, we missed her. We're gonna go here. We find a little hint, but we missed her. We're gonna go here. And it's just like, not enough plot either. Like, yeah, it's just not really working for me, sadly. But, sorry, Melissa. I know you recommended this to me, and I actually hate not loving books. I hate it. I really hate it. I know I do it a lot, but it never makes me happy. But I do have an ice cap to make me happy. I am DNFing this book. I haven't really read that much longer since last time I checked in on you. I just there's just random paper towels sitting back there. it is what it is. Just kind of decided I didn't want to pick it back up. All the reasons that I was complaining about, I just know that this isn't going to be the next FanRo for me, and I think Riley talked about it when she did this video. It kind of sucks doing this video because early on you can figure out if this is going to be a 5-star read for you, and it's like hard to like push through when the idea is to find a 5-star read. Although it might help me a little bit because one of the things I told myself I wanted to do this year was DNF more, find more books I love, read more books I love, DNF the ones that were just like mediocre, meh for me. I don't think this is a bad book. I think if I continued it, it'd probably be a low 3 for me, maybe a high 2, which to be honest, like the 2 is like a 50%, 2.5 is 50% for me, so like not the end of the world either. There's better books, and this is not the next favorite FanRo for me, and I'm on the quest for my next favorite FanRo, so that's what I'm gonna read. Oh my gosh, I haven't worn fake eyelashes in so long. I haven't done my makeup in so long. I don't know if most of you know, I actually am a certified makeup artist. I just never do it. Ever. I wanted to be, I thought I was going to do wedding makeup, and then I switched over to photography. I'd been doing photography longer, but makeup was like a passion of mine, and then it just, everything kind of mingled, meshed, and ended up the way it was supposed to be. But I actually am makeup certified. I love doing my makeup. I just haven't done it in a long time because it like takes a while. I gotta sit down and do it. But I'm going out tonight for my birthday, and I figured I would do it. I even put fake lashes on. The whole shebang. I used to wear fake lashes every day of my life, so I'm shocked I haven't worn them in so long. It looks so weird, but I have a lot of them. And yeah, tomorrow I'm getting my hair cut, so I'm excited about that. I'm gonna cut it short, I think. So this will be the last day of long hair, but you know, I don't know how short. Like maybe like here, collarbone, maybe. Yeah, that's all. I'm going out with my friend for my birthday, and I'm excited. And I don't know what I'm starting next, whether it's going to be Promise of Fire or Furyborn. One of those, I think, will be my next read for this vlog. Makeup is so weird. I look like a different person.
Question. Oh, I think we're going into spoilers. Are we good? Yes? Yeah. I guess we're good.
This is really dark. I keep getting leftover spillover from like my birthday unboxing because I live in Canada and sometimes it takes a really long time for things to get to me. So I do have another birthday gift, and I figured I'd just unbox it in regular vlogs as they come. That way people can still see my reactions and I can tag them if they have channels and all of that. I'm pretty sure this is from Kathleen because I know that she ordered something on through Indigo instead of Amazon. She told me she ordered a book that she really loved recently. Combat Codes. I didn't know that she read this. I'm really excited for this. This was actually originally indie and then was picked up traditionally, which I don't think a lot of people know. Rachel really liked this one. This also was in Spiffbo one year, but got half marks, I believe. Mickey just woke up from his nap. Got half marks because they thought it was a little too sci-fi instead of fantasy, but people really enjoyed it, but obviously the docked marks didn't let it win. But yeah, I'm really, really excited to read this one. I know there was like a little bit of people who didn't love this cover. Mickey! Come here! I know a lot of people didn't like love this cover, but I personally think it's really cool and I'm really excited. Thank you. There's no gift note, so I'm like 99% sure this is Kathleen, so thank you, Kathleen. I adore you. One day we'll meet. I was about to leave. I have my cupcake for the road. I love mini cupcakes. Actually, I just love cupcakes. Cupcakes are like my favorite food. So I always get a lot for my birthday. And people are starting to get me mini ones these days so that I can try all the flavors. But a bunch of packages showed up for me, so we're gonna unbox them before I leave. I realized I've been unboxing these in this vlog hoping that this would be the next vlog to go up, but because of the idea behind this vlog, I have no idea if this is the next vlog to go up, but I'm hoping it will be. Let's do this one first. A gift from Rye. Happy birthday. You're such an amazing person and friend. I love you, from Rye. Rye. Words can't express I love you. Thank you so much for being my friend. I cannot wait to meet you. I cannot wait to hug you. I cannot wait to laugh with you. It's gonna be so much fun. I just saw what this is. Stunning. Oh my god, stunning. This is Vila Roth Blood Sanctuary Part 2. Ooh. This is one of the books in the Blood Gray series. I love the cover of this. Why do these books have the most stunning backs? I love the backs. They're so pretty. Also, the glass is shattered, and I believe on part 1 it's not shattered, which I think is super cool. Anyways, move on to the next book. It's really staticky in there. I don't like it. A gift from Lizzie. Of course, I had to get you a FanRo. Happy birthday, you shady lady. In case you didn't know, my group chat with Lizzie and Bex is called the Shady Ladies plus Bex. And I think Bex is actually the shadiest out of all of us. I'm outing us. So yeah, I had a feeling because this was part 2, I opened them wrong, but part 1, they are pretty similar covers, just the back of this is shattered and the front of this one isn't, and it's the same thing on the back, but the spines do just have like a little bit different coloring, which I really like since they're part 1 and part 2, but they are the same. Like, this is the same book. This is book 3 of the series, but it was just too big, and the way publishing works for indies and stuff, they had to separate it. But yeah, I'm so excited for this series. The audiobook for book 2 was just announced to come out in August. I was gonna read that in July, but now I'm like, do I wait till August? And I have one more. I don't know what it is. We're just gonna attempt to Hulk it. I really hope you like this. It has a lot of things that I think are buzzwords, so I have faith. Happy birthday. Thank you for everything you do for the community, Brie, from Brie. Brie, it's been amazing to get to know you. Brie has a channel, Rye has a channel too, and Lizzie has a channel. I'll link them down below. Brie, it's just, your support means the world to me. I'm excited that we get to meet. It's going to be amazing. You are so much fun to talk to. Okay, oh! Yes, Iron Widow. This does have a lot of buzzwords for me. People have been telling me that they think I'm gonna like it for so long. I've just been scared of it, but I'm very excited to get to this one. I think I'm gonna love it. I really think I'm gonna love it. What a, like, also stunning, all of these. What a great gift haul. Thank you to all 3 of you. You're amazing. I love you. I'm going to eat my cupcake and head out to my lake now to enjoy a relaxing time. Hi, we're at my lake now. I think you saw some b-roll. I made a Caesar, and I have done a little bit of reading. I've made it 100 pages into Air Awakens by Elise Kova, which Claire recommended to me. She said that she thinks it'll be my perfect blend of fantasy and fantasy romance, like fantasy and romance, and so I'm excited for it. I am liking it so far. I am intrigued. In this, we're following our main character, who is a library apprentice, which just means like she shelves books all day long, but she loves it, which couldn't be me. And then she finds out that she actually has magical abilities, which makes her a sorcerer. And in this world, although the sorcerers are needed, they are hated, despised. People think that they're bad, but they also need them for like protection and to make the world work and things like that. So she's very scared when she finds out she's a sorcerer and thinks that she's gonna be evil, things like that. But of course, our prince is also a sorcerer, and people are scared because one day he's gonna rule the kingdom, but he has magic and all this other stuff. And just like any fantasy romance, our main character is very, very special, and she has like the magic that's never been seen before in centuries. It's like a lot of cliches going into it, but so far I'm enjoying how it's done. I do think that things get a little bit rushed, and we're trying really hard to make our 2 characters be like enemies to lovers, where like the hate doesn't really feel as real as it should be, but I'm still intrigued, I'm still enjoying it, and I'm excited to keep reading. Okay, I am actually really enjoying this one. I'm about 50% in now and I'm hooked. Definitely want to keep reading. I really like the relationship between our 2 main characters. It was a little bit like insta friendship and insta trust in my opinion, but I like it enough to like look past that. The other thing I'm finding really fascinating about this is that I'm typically a logical magic lover. Like, I love when my magic systems are very logical, have rules, and this is not that at all. But our main character is like me and is very like logic driven. But in order to use the magic, they're like teaching her to like break away from the logic, because there's no thinking to using the magic. It's just like instinct. And the way that they're telling her to use the magic almost feels logical to me, even though the magic is not logical. And I'm really liking it. I'm also finding like the 4 different elemental magics kind of interesting, and learning about like the relationships happening. I'm actually like really invested in this, and I didn't expect to be, so that's looking good for me. I finished this. I actually finished this so quickly. I adored this book. I ended up giving it 4 stars, so we have not yet reached our 5-star. However, I have hope for the second book in this series. I thought this was so much fun. It kind of gave me vibes that like Red Queen, that quartet by Victoria Aveyard, gave me, mostly just because there is like our peasant girl who's kind of learning about court by the 2 princes, and the 2 princes vibes in her just like reminded me of each other. And like, I love the Red Queen Quartet. It is a YA series that has a place in my heart, has characters that I loved and was so addicted to. And I think that I feel kind of similar to this, is where like the characters were just very endearing and very addicting to read about. Now, the reason it didn't get 5 stars for me is because it does have some pacing issues. It does have insta-love. It's a short book. It's only like 300 pages. And so I prefer my books to be a little bit chunkier. By a little bit, I mean quite a bit chunkier, because I want to see a very, very slow burn. I want to see the characters meet. I want to see their character moments together. And I just think in a book this short, we didn't have enough time to develop these 2 and their relationship. However, it is a 5-book series, although I think I struggled a little bit more with like the first 100 pages because of that insta-love, insta-connection. I just loved the 2 when they got together and like seeing the moments. And like, can we talk about like the most underrated trope? Because like, we all talk about enemies to lovers, we talk about slow burn. Can we talk about 2 people that are sneaking around and aren't like supposed to meet each other or see each other, and if someone catches them, their lives are endangered, and like, but like they can't help it, and they're still like sneaking around, meeting in like the corners of gardens, and like people are gonna walk by, and then like there's always like a moment too, because it's like normally like a prince and like someone who's like lower in society, where like they're out and about and they see each other and they recognize each other, but then normally it's him, makes like a comment because he doesn't want people to know that he likes her, and it's like a really rude comment, and then they're like deciding whether they even want to sneak off to see each other that night because of this rude comment, but then they do, and it's all explained, and I just like live for this. I eat that up. I eat the sneaking around up. I think it might be something I like better almost than enemies to lovers, like, because I don't know, maybe not better, but it's like up there. It's up there for me. I adore it. I just think it makes very interesting interactions, and I think seeing the dynamics change between them when they're like together or like with someone in front of them, like if one person walks in they're different, or if like they're in a giant room and they're like making like eye contact in the room. Chef's kiss. And yeah, I really like this. I also liked the magic system in it. It's a much more like elemental based magic system, which is like normally pretty loose. Like, it's very like inside of you, not as logical as I like it normally, but I actually really liked the way this one was done, and I'm really interested to see more about like the politics of the world with the different magic systems, because we have like windwalkers, fire bearers, water weavers, and an earth thing that I don't think we actually even learn about in this one. And then there's like a pond, and like there's a bunch of stuff that we haven't even like dived into in this book because it's so short, but it is a 5-book long series. I cannot wait to read book 2. Here's the thing though. Here is the thing. I think book 2 is going to be 5 stars. I think it. I'm telling you now, I think it, which means I can't read it right at this moment. Which I know sounds really weird, because this like concept is like reading a book till I make it to 5 stars and find a 5-star read. But I also wanted to do this as a way to try a lot of fantasy romance series and like vlog it and experience it. And so I have a few more books that I want to read, and like they could be 5 stars and end it, but like I don't want to read something that I think is going to be a guaranteed 5-star yet. So I will be reading this. I'm picking it up ASAP, but I think I'm going to attempt to read Furyborn first. Bookmark fell out at me, but I'm not that far in. So I think you'll see that. Or maybe like I also really want to try J. Brie. So I think those are like my last 2 like authors I really want to try in this vlog. And then I'm coming for this bad boy. I'm coming for book 2. I'm ready to fall in love. I always regret filming clips outside because there's so much noise, so I'm probably gonna regret this, so I won't talk very much. You just saw me play on my Kindle. I downloaded Cult of the Lamb. I'm kind of obsessed. I saw it somewhere and I was like, wait, this is so cute and like also creepy and horrifying, and I love it. And yeah, I haven't really enjoyed playing it. However, I've learned I'm not an audiobook and game player. I get so distracted. Like even when I play like Sims and like I'm just building houses on Sims, I can't listen to an audiobook, and I really hate that. Like, does anyone have any tips for like playing on like your Switch and listening to an audiobook? Because I was trying to listen to the next book in the Air Awakens series, because I've been thinking about it all day and I'm just gonna let myself read it, but I couldn't, and I was like, it's fantasy romance, I already know the characters, I know the world building, I thought like it would be easy, but like I was struggling. So like if you have any tips, let me know. Or maybe like it's just not me, like maybe I'm just not that person. I get like really focused on what I'm doing in the game and like pressing the right buttons, and like I'm not doing a lot in this, I'm just like pressing Y a bunch of times, but still. Anyways, I think I should tell you, I softy enough Furyborn. I was listening to the audiobook and I just like couldn't do it. I was so confused in it that I like was like almost like then phasing out and like not listening because I was already confused, and I was like, what's the point in listening to this? And like I just wasn't enjoying it. So I think I'm gonna try that again when I'm ready to like sit down and physically read it. But if I'm going to physically read, I want to physically read the next book in Air Awakens. Also, this is wiggling, and I'm so sorry, it's gonna wiggle this entire clip. Oh, this tastes really good. It's hot out. And yes, I have a blanket on when it's hot out. I'm a psychopath. In order to compromise, I think I'm going to read the Jabri novella, which should take me about an hour, and then I'm gonna dive back into Fire Falling. There's some loud noises out here. I'm probably gonna start talking and Mickey's in this blanket right here and he is going to come out. I just know it. However, I finished the novella, the first novella to this series, which is The Mortal Fates by J. Brie. I had heard there's 2 novellas that you're supposed to read before you read this, and I'm not normally that person. I normally skip those things. Like if you make a novella like a must read, I'm just not really into it. I've never burned my hair up since I cut it, and so I'm playing with it. I'm not sure how I feel about it. These are too short to go in, but well, we're giving it a go. Anyways, like I'm normally not that person. I don't read novellas. I don't tend to enjoy them. However, I did really enjoy this one, and I'm really glad I picked it up, and I plan on picking up the second one. I ended up reading this first one and then going like, okay, is this, because I had forgotten what I read on the back of this, so I was like, how does this connect? So I went and I read the first like page of this, and the novella is like an actual like prequel, but like involving our characters. Like it is setting up the story that we're reading in this. And so the one I read is The Scepter, and then there's also The Sword. And so The Scepter I think is our female protagonist, and then The Sword is the male protagonist. And it's like the setup of them, because I think at the start of this they already know that they're fated to be together. Like they are fated mates. And I thought I was really going to struggle with the whole fated mates thing, but I think it's going to set up a really, really good enemies to lovers, and I'm really excited for that. I was actually shocked by how much I enjoyed this novella. I did end up giving it 3 stars. It just doesn't have the substance that I want in my stories, which I knew going into it probably wouldn't. I'm not a novella person. I like a long chunky book. However, I think it's gonna make this book so much easier to dive in because I'm already invested into the characters, and I'm excited. The problem with being a binge reader is I told you that I was going to read this novella so that I could read the second book in the Air Awakens series, and now I'm like, but do I read The Sword? But do I read The Sword first, and then I read this, and then I go to this? But I also know like I'm so obsessed with this, and this is so short, I'm gonna read the second book I think in this, and I'm going to like do what I said I was going to do, because I should be able to get to The Sword at some point really easily. Not that I shouldn't get to this because it's short, but like, I don't know, it just, in my head, The Sword is like 100 pages, so I should be able to get to it really easily. I did really enjoy J. Brie's writing style. I think it's very simple, but like in a good way. I don't mean that in a bad way. It just is very like easy to read, and she also set up like a really cool world that we don't necessarily explore in the novella. I'm gonna stop holding this up so it's not confusing. That we don't really necessarily explore in the novella, but that we hear about. And because it's a novella, I'm not expecting you to give me all the details of the world. However, there was groundwork put in there that I appreciated. There was groundwork in our characters that I was appreciated. I know what our character values. She values family, she values nature, she values magic, she values her destiny. And like learning those things made me so excited to get into the real book, the next real book, the first full-length book. And I'm also just really excited to read the male POV because I think that he is going to be not the nicest, and I'm very excited. Like, I've seen reviews saying like the problem with this is that she set up such a good enemies to lovers that like you're no longer rooting for them to be together, but like I want that. I want to despise him and then fall in love with him. So I'm very excited for that. Yeah, I don't really know how to tell you what the Scepter is about. We're following our character who something happens and she's on a journey to see her fate, to go to a seer to see her fate. And we just follow the little journey that she goes on there. So it's a lot more like character development and just like introductions of like small things about the world, the politics, and the magic. We also learn about like different kingdoms. Like there's the different fae courts, there's the witches, there's the elven king, there is the war on the other side that has another king. Like we did learn a lot of just like small details about the world that I really appreciated. Anyways, I now am going to read Fire Falling, which is the second book in Air Awakens, because I'm just ready. I'm ready. I have a lot of reading time because it's the weekend, but I'm not at Nick's house because we're going to my lake this week together. So yeah, like Sunday we go to the cabin for my little cousin's birthday, and then we stay there with my family Sunday, Monday, because Monday's a holiday in Canada because it's Canada Day this weekend, and then all my family goes home, but me and Nick are gonna stay for a couple days, which I'll get a lot of work done at the cabin. I tend to work pretty productively at the cabin, which means right now while I'm home and I have no Nicholas to distract me, I'm trying to get some reading done. And I would I'm really hoping that this is a 5-star for me. Like, I'm really hoping that this next book is the end of the vlog. Okay, another package arrived. I don't know what I did this year. I got so many birthday gifts. Thank you guys so much. Let's unbox it. I hate these packages. Why? Happy belated birthday. Hope you enjoyed this one. From Andrea. Thank you, Andrea, which I think I know what this is because you gave me a hint on Sprints the other day. Yes. The first book of An Heir Comes to Rise, which I did read earlier in this vlog, and I'm very excited to continue it, and I think that this cover is really, really pretty. Yes, thank you so much, Andrea. Thank you for hanging out with me all the time. Thanks for chatting all the time. Definitely look forward to it all the time. Vala fits the perfect protagonist that I always talk about. She is a young female who has a lot of power, and the world is trying to tell her to be one way, and she refuses, and she is so smart. Where I think more of the characters that I like in this tend to be a little bit more petty and revenge stricken. Vala is smart and calculated, and she is wise beyond her years, and she's making choices and decisions that aren't really even the best for her, but they're the best for everyone, where normally I like a more selfish protagonist. It just is what it is, but she's not selfish, and I love her for that. To counteract that, we have the prince, who is pretty much the same character. He's a young male MC who the world is telling to be some way, but he's struggling to say I can't be that way. And I just think that seeing them together is just so freaking incredible and amazing, and I love it so much. I'm not gonna lie to you. Since we last talked, I have not only read the second book, but I've read the third book, and I've read the fourth book. I'm about to start the fifth book. If you are a top tier patron, this vlog does extend for you. However, if you're not, you'll just hear until I got a 5-star, which was obviously one of these. But yeah, if you're a top tier patron, you get to watch me binge read the way through this entire series. But let's go back to book 2. Let's discuss it. I was reading book 2. I was having a great time. I was thinking 5 stars. I was 50% in, and I was like, this is gonna be 5 stars. This vlog is over. I was loving how book 2 introduces more of the magic system. You're seeing the different types of sorcerers, you're seeing how sorcerers can excel at one thing and not the other thing, as well as you're seeing this found family aspect, because book 2 introduces you to the friends of the princes, the friends of the court. So you're seeing how the people that grew up with the princes, who think of them more as normal people and not their holy rulers, act around them. And it kind of makes you love the princes more, but it also just helps develop just this wonderful banter, because people aren't just like, anything you say, prince, yes sir. And then Vala also just like grows a lot in book 2. However, book 2 fell prey to something that a lot of fantasy romance do that works for a lot of fantasy romance readers, but particularly not for me, but it's normal in these style of books. This is a true like slow burn, and when they finally admit their feelings to each other, there's about 200, it's not that long, like 100 pages, but it's only a 300-page book, of them just hanging out together in their room. Now, this whole series is Fade to Black. It is, I would say, more on the YA side than what fantasy romance typically is. Like, I would call it a YA fantasy, but it is Fade to Black, but you're just like seeing them bond, and it's too much romance heavy for me. Like, they're spending a lot of time just cuddling on the couch and doing those things. Then I wanted a little bit more plot to be introduced. I would say in a 5-book series, the second and the fourth book are typically more character driven. They're about the small moments with characters. They tend to be my least favorites. They fall into like middle book syndrome personally for me. So in the end, I did give book 2 4 stars. I did contemplate it for a really long time though. I was like, is this worth 5 stars? Because my enjoyment was so high. I'm so invested in these characters. And I think book 2 has a really big reason for why I am invested in them. And it could be for those 100 pages that I docked marks for, but like we do really get to know that relationship throughout that time and what they mean for each other. But I decided on 4 stars. I jumped into book 3 instantly. That's why you haven't had an update. I jumped into it instantly. And I can confirm 5 stars. I am just so attached to these characters. Like I was crying this morning reading some of these books. Like they have my heart. I am rooting for them and I'm yelling at them and I'm feeling all their emotions with them, because Elise Kova does not hold back. She is willing to hurt you. She's willing to also make you happy at times. So I really love when a story can make me go on a roller coaster of emotions. I feel like that's really true to real life, and I think that this series is really, really doing that for me. I loved book 3. Book 3 felt like such an expansion of the world for me that I adored so much of. I feel like the plot felt like it was finding its footing in book 3, and not that it didn't, it found its footing in book 1, but like the expansiveness of the plot found its footing. And I knew that there was so much more to this story than what I was getting, and it was going to slowly be revealed to me throughout the series, and I just couldn't stop. Like I literally couldn't stop to update you at all. I was so obsessed. In love. 5 stars. If you liked Red Queen, please read this. If you liked A Court of Thorns and Roses, please read this. If you liked, I would even say maybe Fourth Wing, read this. Servant of the Wings of Night, read this. Like there is such a really good balance of romance and fantasy in this, and it reminds me more of like a Fireborn type story where like the plot, it is YA fantasy, but because there's such a heavy romance element to it, that's why I would classify it as fantasy romance. And I do think within this story, although there is a really expansive fantasy world and plot, you couldn't remove the romance from this. Like there is no story without the romance, which is something I normally don't love. However, I think A Court of Thorns and Roses is the same way. There is no story without the romance, and I loved that series. Also from Blood and Ash, there is no story without the romance, and that's how I felt about this one, and I just absolutely adore them. Some of my favorite characters, Prince Balder has my heart. I love him so much. He's so sweet and he's so funny, and I just like love his vibe. But also like the Golden Guards, and I mean our Shadow Prince, obviously love him. And I think Vala is a really, really strong character who I really, really enjoy. So yeah, if you like my type, and if you are a fan of the fantasy romances that I like, please pick this up. I think that you will enjoy it. Just know it is YA. Like it has a YA feel to it. It has a YA writing tone. However, I also think that as the series has gone on, the writing has improved, and I'm so excited to read whatever Elise Kova puts out next. So, on regular YouTube, this is the end of the vlog because I hit a 5-star and that was the point of this. How long would it take me to reach a 5-star fantasy romance? Honestly, I thought it was gonna take me a lot longer than this, and I'm very happy it didn't because it means I found a new series that I loved. So if you made it all the way to the end of this video and you'd like to leave me a comment, let's talk about what you think I should read next. Like, what's a fantasy romance series you think I will like? And if you just want to leave me an emoji to say you were here, leave me a star emoji. I mean, we're talking about reading 5 stars over here. And then if you want to connect with me on other platforms, my Bookstagram, my Book Twitter, my Goodreads, my Book Talk, and my Patreon, all linked in the description bar below. And a reminder, if you are a top tier patron, the Leviathans, you can flip on over to Patreon if you didn't already watch from there. And you can see me read book 4 and book 5 in this series and see all of my thoughts. So